All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rachadash, giving double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Peace and salutations to the Akim, the brethren out there on the highways and byways, pushing this truth with 100% sincerity. And peace and salutations to the few and sincere sisters who believe in this gospel, right? So I want to entitle this lesson, For by thy sorceries were all the nations deceived, right? And this is going into Babylon the Great, kind of touching more on that Maduro situation, but really just overall going into the sorceries of Babylon and how this country, America, has deceived all of the nations, right? And that witchcraft, that deception is actually now falling off, right? And people are starting to see America, Babylon the Great, for who America really is, right? So I want to play this video clip here. I believe I seen one of the brothers from the UK play this clip. I saw this clip the other day, but I want to play this clip here and then go into some precepts. Lord willing, this video lesson be edifying.
They say you have seized Venezuela for the oil. Yes, this is true, that there is that which has been brought to the forefront of this earthly battle. But the enemy has sought and was seeking to bring war and to bring conflict through Venezuela and to control the oil of the earth. But the spiritual oil and the natural oil does not belong to the forces of darkness or to those who thought that they could bring a one world order. This is my reset. And the oil of the natural and the oil of the spirit is mine, says the Lord. They say you have seized Venezuela for the oil. Yes, this is true, that there is that which has been brought to the forefront of this earthly battle. But the enemy has sought and was seeking to bring war and to bring conflict through Venezuela and to control the oil of the earth. But the spiritual oil and the natural oil does not belong to the forces of darkness or to those who thought that they could bring a one world order. This is my reset. And the oil of the natural and the oil of the spirit is mine, says the Lord. They say you have...
All right, so y'all saw the video of this Edomite Christian pastor basically justifying what they did in Venezuela by saying that, you know, Venezuela was seized for the oil, which is more than just oil, right? They've also got other, you know, resources, natural resources over there in Venezuela that America wants to get its hands on. And I believe also well, I'm not sure about that, right? I was going to say that I believe also Venezuela is another country that doesn't have a central bank, right? Let me see something. Does Does Venezuela have a Roth central bank? Okay, yep. So Venezuela does not have a Rothschild central bank. It says, in the sense that the Rothschild family owns or controls the central bank. It says the Central Bank of Venezuela is the official central bank of the country and is state owned and run by the Venezuelan government, right? It says his leadership is appointed under Venezuelan law and it issues the national currency, the bolivar, right? Now let's read what it says here with this conspiracy, right? It says some conspiracy theories claim that the Rothschild family or its financial firms secretly own or control most central banks worldwide, including Venezuela's. These lists circulate online without credible evidence. Fact checking by reputable outlets has shown that claims about Rothschilds owning central banks are false and unsubstantiated. Most central banks are government entities, and there's no credible evidence the Rothschild family owns or controls them, right? Now, I'm going a little bit off topic here. I remember learning in history class that there was especially when it came to like oil and those types of resources, back in the day, you had particular people and companies who had monopolies on oil and all of that stuff, right? And it was, I believe, it was outlawed for one company to control, um, to control an entire industry, basically, right? And I believe what happened with that is now they just ventured off, and made these splinter companies, right? Or made these companies that are basically under the umbrella of one large company. But it looks like on the surface, it looks like, these are different companies and there's fair and equal competition, right? So we know that these bankers, they control majority of the central banks in the world, right? And I believe Venezuela is one of them, according to this, right? Because Chat GPT, and I can't, when it comes to Chat GPT, you got to kind of ask, you got to kind of trip Chat GPT up a little bit, because certain things you will ask Chat GPT, it'll give you a lie, right? But then if you ask another question or ask the same question in a different kind of way, then Chat GPT will give you the truth. You know what I'm saying? So, they know how to create the AI to, continue on with the deception, right? But let's go ahead and get into the scriptures. Because Babylon the Great, right, back in ancient Babylon, you had a lot of sorcery, a lot of witchcraft going on, right? The Babylonians practiced a lot of witchcraft, and it's the same thing here in Babylon the Great, or in America, right? And they do this to cause deception, to deceive the people, so the people aren't able to catch on to what's really going on and what their true agendas are. But for them, people are actually beginning to catch on to what's really happening out here, right? So this is Isaiah chapter 47 and verse 1. It says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne. O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt be no more called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind meal, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over thy rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man," right? So the this when it says thy nakedness shall be uncovered, that's metaphorically speaking about the lies and the deception is going to be um, come to light, right? And truth is going to be abound. You know what I'm saying? For a good while now, America has had, number one, its own people, but number two, also the world deceived, right? People are seeing that Babylon is not all that it's cracked up to be, and Babylon is really just this another imperialistic country. You know what I'm saying? Which is set on basically controlling as much of the world as they possibly can, and the rest of the world is seeing through that, and even its allies are seeing through that. Right? You got this situation where Trump is talking about going over to Denmark and taking over, not Denmark, but Greenland, and taking over Greenland, right? And in Denmark, they're like, nah, you can't do that. And number one, you're breaking treaty when it comes to NATO. You're breaking treaty, and number two, that is how can you have trust? How can we have trust in America, that America has the best interest of its own people, of course, but also its allies? If you're about to go around and basically take over you know the land of one of your own allies, right? So all of these companies, I mean, not companies, all of these countries are seeing America for who America truly is, right? As it says in Revelation chapter 17, it says that the beast shall hate the whore, right, and eat her flesh and burn her with fire, right? So all of these countries, man, all of America's allies are eventually going to side with Russia and side with, um, um, the BRICS nations, and they're eventually going to turn on America and launch nuclear ICBM missiles on this place, right? Let's keep reading. It says, "As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms. I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance." Salakia. Where was I? "I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke," right? So this place, America, has never shown the Israelites mercy. America has never shown the nation of Israel any kind of mercy, right? And the Lord is going to judge Babylon for that. The Lord is going to judge this place for the deeds they've done to the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? It says, verse 7, "And thou sayest, I shall be a lady forever," right? Lady meaning, you know, this country is going to last forever. This country is going to continue on forever. Let's look into this word lady. Lady, queen, mistress of servants. We know the word queen is going to whore, right? But basically, America believes that they're going to either continue on the deception, right, or just come down with brute force. And that's how they're going to continue on. That's basically what America believes, right? Because it's like a woman. It's like a scorned, battered, manipulative, deceptive woman, right? Or an adulterous woman. Her objective is to keep the deception going on as long as possible, so she can keep on doing what she's doing, right? And then once you find out what's going on, now comes the of course, some of these women nowadays might try and use force to get at you. But majority of women, they're gonna go the route of shaming, lying, continuing to lie, or saying that it's your fault, or you know what I'm saying, threatening to you know do other things or whatever, right? But that's what Babylon the Great strategy is, right? Babylon's strategy is either you gonna believe the lies and go along with what we say, or if you don't want to go along to get along, right, we gonna you know basically come and take out your shit, take you out. That's the way that Babylon the Great moves. Verse 8, therefore hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, and America is given into pleasures, and America dwells carelessly, right? Like for example, the people here in Babylon the Great, majority of people are not taking this thing seriously, right? Majority of people here in America are not looking at this as this could be the start of World War III, especially Jake. Like Jake is so worried about non or irrelevant bullshit, right? Jake is worried about if Nicolas Maduro was wearing a Nike Tech when he got captured. That's what Jake is worrying about. But they don't think that, damn, this could lead up to World War III and we going to get caught up in it. Damn, this could be the end of America. What are we to do? Jake ain't thinking like that. Jake is thinking about bullshit, right? Let's keep reading. It says, therefore hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me, right? What does Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah say? It says, I am the Most High, and there is none beside me. But this place, especially this devil Esau, they heap themselves up as if they were the Most High, right? And that's how arrogant these people are. You see how Trump is moving? Trump is moving with pride and arrogance. That's how that nigga moving right now, right? It says, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children, right? They think that nothing is going to happen to this place, especially the people. Everybody thinks that America is going to be cool. We just going to be chilling. You know what? Anybody want to fuck around and find out, we're just going to send the military over, and the military going to regulate, and, we're going to go back to, everyday life as normal. And that's not how it's going to go this time. It's not going to go like that this time around. It's going to be a lot, what Biggie Small said. It's going to be a lot of slow singing and flower bringing, right? That's what's in store for America. Death, destruction, and ultimately nuclear fire. And we just speaking prophetically what's in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? It says, verse 9, but these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries, and for the great abundance of thine enchantments, right? What does it say in the book of Revelation chapter 18? It says, thy plague shall come in one day, right? Thy plague shall come in one day, right? 1 hour, actually. But the Lord is going to make quick work of Babylon the Great. All of this wickedness to only be destroyed in one day. Verse 10, it says, for thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me, right? And they think that everything that they're doing, behind the scenes, and that they think that they covering everything up, going to conquer and invade other countries for their natural resources, but under the guise of, like, for example, with this whole Maduro situation, they went into Venezuela to get him under the guise of he's shipping drugs into America. So we got to go, grab him up and charge him criminally. You know what I'm saying? Which is also another odd thing too with that whole situation. You done got into a whole nother country, the capital of another country, and kidnapped the president, and not one shot from the opposition was fired. Nobody died from the American side, and nothing happened to any American soldiers or troops. There's a little something fishy about that, right? And everybody is starting to see that now. Everybody with a brain, you know what I'm saying? Everybody who they not caught up in the pleasures and the dainties of Babylon the Great, and because even particular Edomites, they looking at this like, this shit don't add up, right? It says, "For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. And thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none is beside me. Therefore shall evil come upon thee. Thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee. Thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Stand now with thine enchantments, and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail," right?
Please sign in to your vehicle before driving.
Right? Basically, the Babylon got to stand on what is done, right? They got to sit in what they've done. They got to lie in the bed that they've made. And what's coming for America? Judgment, destruction. We at the end now. This is the end. This is the end of this place, man. It's over for America. And this ain't us saying it. This is the scripture saying it. We just bringing it out. Check this. In the chat view. So let's go Revelation 18 and 23, and I'm going to close out. And it reads, it says, "And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom," let me start up. Verse 21, it says, a mighty angel took a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more. And the voice of harpers and the musicians and of pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee. And no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee. And the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee," right? Basically, all the things that we know for this place. You can come here and get work. You can come here and make money, right? The American dream, which the American dream is already dead. But all of these things that they esteem of Babylon the Great, esteem of America, right? It's going to be no more. It's all going to go up in smoke. Verse 23, it says, "And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee," right? It's going to be no more merriness in this land, right? It's all going to be languish, sadness, doom, all the way up until death, all the way up until complete and utter destruction of this place, right? It says, "For thy merchants were the great men of the earth," right? All of these rich businessmen, all of these dudes who got rich here in Babylon the Great. You got Elon Musk, you got Jeff Bezos, you got Billy G, the Gates of Hell, and plenty of other, billionaires, businessmen, especially even the elite, right? The Rothschilds, the J.P. Morgans, the Rockefellers, all of these people who got rich and super wealthy off of off of America. It says, "For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived." Right? In order for America to be able to do the things that it's done, they had to put on a persona that America is doing these things for justice, for democracy. You know what I'm saying? America is coming in to be big brother and all that bullshit, when all they've come to do was steal, kill, and destroy, and take your resources, pollute your people, pollute the minds of your people, push these, heathenistic and degenerate philosophies and ideologies on your people, and disguise it as being as pushing freedom, when all in all actuality, the whole time it was control, imperialism, and really just downright straight up wickedness, right? Verse 24, "And in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that were slain upon the earth," right? Because not only did America, destroy and kill the men of the Lord, in our past lives, via slavery, via Jim Crow, via, all of the atrocities, the atrocious events that happened, like Devil's Punch Bowl, or the Tulsa Massacre, or the East St. Louis race riots. You know what I'm saying? All of these things that happen, as well as all of these things like, these experiments that they do, pushing chemicals on the people, pushing particular foods in our communities, pushing ideologies and ways of thinking on our people, to cause our people to hate themselves and hate each other and kill each other and destroy each other. All of these things, all of that bloodshed is on Babylon the Great. Not only that, that which of that they've done across the world, all of the killing and destroying that they've done across the world, man, across the globe. So, man, Babylon the Great is going to have to pay for that. And when you read up in Revelation 18, and when you read Revelation 17, you see the judgment of this place. You see the judgment of the whore that sitteth on the beast, because the beast is going to turn against the whore and burn her with fire and destroy her, right? And the whore being the United States of America, right? So, Lord willing, this video lesson was edifying, giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rahakadash. And until